Welcome to Skillsoft presents ETStudios HRConnect in association with EHRWorld. Now, welcome to this exciting conversation on one of the most dynamic shifts that we're witnessing in the workplace. Organizations now are definitely not looking at just roles, but they're hiring based on skills. And AI is powerfully reshaping how we develop and retain talent. Together, these leaders are at the heart of this transformation. So let's unpack this journey with them. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let me start off with a round of introductions. Please join me in welcoming Sanjay Kumar, CHRO at Apar Industries Limited, Abhay Srivastava, CHRO at IKS Health, and of course Ankur Gupta, who is the Vice President of Marketing at Skillsoft. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you. So let me get down to the very first question. Now, organizations have a skills-first strategy. They're no longer just hiring for roles. Now, in the world of AI, how is the skills-first strategy evolving?
I think in our company, Apar Industries Limited, the first thing we do is we create a skill inventory. This is for functional skills primarily and technical skills, also for behavioral skills in some which are captured by the behavioral competencies. Now, based on the dynamic business environment which is there, right from the sales function to the manufacturing operations and the QC, QA and all other finance and HR functions. So there are emergent needs which are contingent to various requirements of speed, efficiency, effectiveness to the customer as well, which really necessitate this kind of a configuration of technologies, not necessarily AI in all cases, but certainly we start off with the skills. We have a very good mapping of all employees. Every year it is revisited and we, with the annual sales budget which is there, and we revisit and reshape it every year. Now, we also do the basics very well now, much better than earlier. So, right from the training calendar based TNI, which has been the traditional HR methodology, the HR needs which are, the training needs which are identified and the calendar created, we are really in a very basic way mapping the training effectiveness much better in a simple way that we track what the employee was, how the employee she was doing prior to the intervention and what after that, be it training or be it an executive coaching, in some cases online mentoring also, whatever be the intervention, how it is going through. And that report is now fed into the data on which the AI bots, they have learned, it's still the process is going on and there are certain biases which have crept in. So I think that's an evolutionary journey we are going through. I think the first thing is the business outcomes and the skills. That linkage is very important. For example, I'll take a few more minutes. We realized the frontline sales force, there were issues, so we focused on their learning and development, long-term interventions. Secondly, because we have a demography where 5 generations coexist and there is all net zero attrition in the mid and senior level, surprisingly, which is quite a unique thing, I would say, in today's day and age. We have started witnessing attrition in the junior level. So, out there what we are seeing is that the succession planning piece was not so well done. So we tied up with Wellinkers, all the generic courses with the management institutes, all the training companies are providing, but not really addressing what we needed, particularly on the behavioral side, the attitudes, resilience, adaptability, collaboration, continuous learning and application of the learning. And to be very patient, that's very important. So these are skills which we have curated along with Wellinkers and all the direct reports of the heads, business heads, HODs, they have undergone that. Secondly, I'll just take one more example. We have engaged a consultant, I can name it GP, they're doing a phenomenal job for us in our procurement function. So we said, okay, let's have 100 crore saving every year through this engagement. And they have identified along with us our people who are there in the procurement function. They have also suggested trainings and created profiles for them and their career path. And it really helped us. I think we have already reached the target of 50 crores, but and it's going. We're extending this to our logistics function as well. So there are many things which actually the businesses are really creating, besides, of course, the traditional methods of Six Sigma for more efficiency, the shop floor, downtown to be reduced. So there's enough and more to say.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, especially how you are retaining talent, because that is so important today, right? Not just attracting talent. So I'll take that across to you. Talk to us about the shift that you are witnessing from role-based hiring to skills first, and also perhaps how you're tying it in with your business objectives.
Thank you for the question. I think I would start looking at it just not role-based and skill-based, but the entire change in the way the businesses are working today. So if you step back, it probably is becoming very strong now, but it must have started almost a decade back, when the work design itself has become very project-based. So in a very fast changing world, the concept of roles, the concept of competencies, the concept of, somebody will do this over a period of time is gone, because things change very fast. And therefore, the way jobs and workflows are now designed is to capture the value in the market. And therefore, you need to shift very fast. Things will change very fast. And therefore, roles have to be very fluid. So I don't see too much of a difference between a role and a skill. A role is a collection of skill. Sometimes I may need one set of skill as compared to others. The way work is designed today is, I need to deliver this in this much time with this efficiency and cost. Who are the best people who can help me deliver? And therefore, I would probably pull those people. And so the org structures have become very fluid. Given that kind of change that you see, it is imperative that skills and skill inventory is going to become very important. And many of the organizations who are newer age organizations actually are creating roles which are skill-based roles, which helps actually deliver value to the customer very fast, but which also creates a problem of how do I continuously increase or shift the skill of the people so that they are fungible, whichever project really comes in. If you look at it that way, that's how life is going to be. People will become multifaceted. They will have multiple skills. The way an individual worker at whatever level is going to survive is continuously upskilling themselves and broad skilling themselves. And way the organizations will survive is to continuously drawing them into work which then is done faster, cheaper, better, healthier. And that's where the value gets created. So skills are going to be absolutely 100% important.
And as you've mentioned, there needs to be reskilling and upskilling as well,
100%.
which is something that needs to be continuous and not a one-time you're learning or a one-time skill-based hiring.
Yeah. So look at it this way. Many of you heard now Gen AI and agentic AI. A lot of skill-based work which was at a lower level, which was being done by a lot of people, is going to go away. Which means that creates an opportunity for people to now get into a higher level job. Because this kind of a job, which is repetitive, which can be actually automated, and an agentic AI bot can do it, gives me an opportunity to actually upskill my people. Gives me an opportunity to actually people doing more meaningful work. The purpose becomes more stronger for them, right? And given that, I think that's a great opportunity. But at the bottom of it, upskilling, if you don't do it, you're done.
You're out. Absolutely. So view it as an opportunity, and I think that's a great lens to start off with. I'll take it across to you, Ankur.
So just like what Sanjay and Abhay kind of talked about, if you really look at, there is a continuous transformation which is happening, right? And it is becoming faster and faster, obviously. And this is all because of the disruption which we are seeing. Now, if I really look at from what has been happening, and Abhay did talk about that, there are certain set of skills, and we are going in a skill economy, skill becoming the currency and things like that, but how it will happen and what really is future looks like. If you look at, say, World Economic Forum Future of Job 2025 report itself, it says that 69% of the employers today feel or experiencing that to do the business transformation, the skills is becoming a bigger problem, right? People with that right skill. Or 30, 40% of the skills or core skills are getting disrupted because you have to not just look at what has happened, but what is coming, right? Because there is a continuous disruption which is happening, and Gen AI is one of that example, or agentic AI, and there is another word which will come next quarter as well, right? So you have to start really looking at that, what are the core skills, how that is getting shifted, how the work itself is getting shifted, because that is also shifting the business models itself, right? There's enough data, enough research which is happening or happened, which is telling us that organizations are really looking at changing the business model itself, right? Whether you are in a pure high-tech industry or whether even you are in robotic, or manufacturing or chemical or wherever, right? Even in pharma, right? Our technology, AI is actually creating a drug, right? Or assisting, right? Today, it's saying it's not easy that I want to take a drug which is created by AI, probably not. But yes, if you say that it is being assisted through AI, then probably I have more belief because I've started using it. Now, you did talk about the skills first kind of approach. Now, when you really look at a skill first, what does that a skill means? Because skills has gone from those leadership skills or managerial skills to a very pinpointed micro skills. And within that micro skill, you are really talking about different levels, because for different set of people, it requires very differently. Say in today's world of Gen AI, even in marketing, the prompt engineering is a skill. Now, a prompt engineering for a VP of marketing like me versus somebody who's a content writer or somebody in the HR or learning is very different, or for a developer for sure, right? So what does that skill means to that person? And that is personified. Now, how will you solve this problem, right? Because the biggest thing is, and obviously we live and breathe at Skillsoft, because it's not just a strategy of skills. Skill first is the way we work, or we have designed our systems, right? Long before it started as skill first approaches, because you have to start assessing people in terms of what are the skills which they have, what kind of aspirations they have, how you link that upskilling and reskilling very pointed to them, what they already know, where the gaps are, and what is their aspiration. And that too, it needs to overlooked from an organization perspective, because ultimately it is the organization which is getting benefit out of it. So I think it goes a lot more deeper into skill taxonomies, skill ontologies, and all that. And that's where I think the technology really helps. So I'll stop here, but yeah, we'll continue our discussion.
You're absolutely right. I'll take off from where you spoke about customizing AI, for instance, right? Because AI for each sector or role looks very different. Like AI in HR looks very different from AI in software development, for instance. So this sort of continuous skilling, reskilling, how are you witnessing AI impacting it, and how are you weaving AI into your learning systems?
Yeah, very interesting. So I don't know if AI is different in different group. The base foundational method with which AI works is pretty similar. Now, you can create use cases, and the use case in HR can be very different. The use case in, say, manufacturing. You would have heard about what you call manufacturing 4.0, where a lot of data comes from machine, then you have predictive analytics which comes, and now it is, the AI, Gen AI is actually doing a much better job of saying what transformation can happen. So having said that, I think you just can't escape not getting touched by any kind of AI. The kind of AI can be different, but you can't escape being touched. And you have to be prepared for that, right? And it will have impact at various levels. I was talking to a professor from IIM Bombay, and they are in fact talking about now with the agentic AI, the bots doing so many things, how do you design and reward system which takes into account that a certain portion of people will be doing the same job as compared to a certain portion which is going to be driven by an agentic AI bot, and how will it come together? The point I'm trying to make is we'll have to prepare all our systems and processes to get this piece of agents or Gen AI coming and working into you. So if you look at my organization, IKS Health, I think the entire impact of AI is very welcome and very necessary and very important. And a lot of my scalability, creation of value, capture of value will depend upon how we utilize this. So we are deep into it. We continue to experiment big time. All my products are proprietary. We are writing our own models, and we are also kind of partnering with some of the top guys here, and we want to emerge as something which is unique in the industry. So it's very important for us, and we are working deeply into it. Many of my lower level work which I'm doing at the agent level will completely become AI driven, which is already happening.
It's great to know that it's not just AI adoption there, but also AI innovation at IKS.
Yeah, I mean, see, again, if you go a little deeper, you will have to model and train your own models in AI, right? So somebody else's model is not going to work for me. So the data modeling and then putting it into is going to be mine, and the innovation has to come there. Absolutely. And it's very important.
Absolutely. And Sanjay, you were also talking about how AI is now deeply embedded into your systems. And I figured that out when you said you're working on eliminating bias. I don't think a lot of organizations have identified that yet. So you're definitely in a mature place when it comes to AI.
Yeah, we've started well, I would say, yeah. So, how we are using it, Industry 4.0, which started more as an IoT, it still is. But now it is, the AI intervention is far more than that, and it really is bringing in efficiencies, and all redundancies have been eliminated as well. Equally important for the LMS on the HR side, learning management system, now all of our routine training modules, they are AI driven. So like the induction, POSH training, which are all say compliance oriented. And a part of code of conduct, or even communication skills, presentation skills, behavioral, so let's say negotiation skills. So they're all, we are using the challenge there, of course, on LMS, which we all face, is that it's difficult to get people to enroll, and after 2 hours, that attention span, which becomes difficult. So we have the classroom courses as well, and long-term interventions as well. I would like to make an observation here, rather 3. See, I think with AI coming in, as rightly said, and the lowest level of work in our company is gone, and it's not that we've asked our people to leave. They've scaled up because fortunately our business has been rapidly growing as well. Like for the last 5 years, we have been the largest company in the world as power transmission conductor manufacturers, 3rd largest for about 20 years in the power oil sector. It's a generic brand that we have, transformer oil sector. Now, how we have sustained it, I would say, as AI comes in and this growth comes, and growth brings in transformation, we've all discussed about it. At the same time, I think it's an opportunity, as you said, and a boon. HR is being restored its natural habitat today, which was always there, some part of it, during the initial years, like we all say, I've colored some of my hair, so but we have gray hairs. So, we all started as IR, industrial relations specialists in HR. And that time, whatever else was there, one very good thing was there, all HR guys had deep connects with people. They would have really spent time in conversations, not only developmental, their personal challenges and overall. I think that part, HR truly is blessed to have the time, and it will be more blessed as we go ahead and we start using AI for routine and repetitive tasks. So I think that's with a word of caution that what ChatGPT writes for you does not have a persona of its own. And it can be repetitive, and it may not be so coherent, of course. So there's still some work, but I think they're learning very fast also. So this is one thing, that HR has been restored its natural habitat, so to say. Otherwise, we just went on to become like the sales guys, the finance guys. They don't hire you for doing that job. There is a sales guy who will do it much better than you, who understands business much better than you. We need to understand business, but the people connect part, empathy, that vision to listen, the acknowledging part while listening, those skills are extremely important. So that is one. Second thing I would say, whereas skills, the more things change, they remain the same. There is a saying also. Ultimately, that is also not untrue. So the form of it may change, but the fundamentals may to large extent.
Absolutely.
We pay attention to skills. It's easy. It's easy to learn skills, to train on skills. It can be mechanized also, some part of it. Very difficult, the KSA part, the knowledge and attitude. I think it gives us opportunity with AI also to continuously build a knowledge and attitude, the values, culture, which truly makes an organization great. It cannot be AI which will make you ever great.
No, you're absolutely right there where you say that with digital transformation and AI becoming such an important part, now empathy is actually taken center stage, It was always important, but now from the back burner, it's now, shining in its rightful place.
I'll just add to that, what is also important with the, now not the millennial, but the Gen Z coming. There's a new generation also.
Now Gen Alpha.
So they are still yet to come join the workforce, but Gen Z. So it's really different. See, they are, some people say they have a culture of entitlement, but they are going to be a workforce, whether you like it or you don't like it. So ultimately, they are going to be the majority of the, they have started becoming about 25% of the workforce already. So they have their own challenges, they have their own inclinations and priorities. Out there, this piece matters a lot. There is a far more, whereas they're very intelligent. Human evolution has never stopped.
Right.
It goes on. So they are more intelligent. I surely believe in that. They are faster. They are digital natives. That is the other thing. At the same time, they are far more impersonal because of being on the phone, less social life.
True.
Family support systems are much less today. There are both parents working, single parents. So that kind of socializing skills are not there. So that's where I think organizations can play that role, and if they play that well in giving them that comfort rather than questioning them, confronting them all the time, because they are going to be a workforce. You have to learn to be with them, get the best. They may need more flexibility. Business interest and this, they have to be married together.
Very interesting. Workforce agility is there, now organizational agility when it comes to these new generations. I actually want to take another question across to you. We were talking about tying in learning with business objectives, and he had touched upon it earlier. I want you to also talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I started by saying things move very fast, right? And so nobody is now doing a 10-year strategy. If your 3-year strategy works, I would be surprised, very surprised. Having said that, which obviously means that as you are moving, your skill requirement, your capability requirement. So when I say capability, it's a combination of skill which comes together. It's a capability, so to say, if I'm into merger acquisition, my capability to actually integrate faster is going to be very important. So when I'm looking at capability development, given my strategy or my organization, a lot of focus of skilling or learning is there. So if I can identify, if say a cross-sell is going to be very important for my organization, how do I create those capability? And so I have to identify those people who probably are naturally given to that, and then create those capability, and that learning, skill building starts happening. Of course, you then partner with people who can bring those content, who can bring those entire way of doing it, and then track the success, right? That's how it's going to be. So I would say capability building is going to be important given what the business outlook is going for that year, and therefore you have to start a year before. So if you know that this is how I'm going to capture value, what capability is required, and then help develop that. It can be an AI capability, it can be something else.
But it can't be an afterthought. It has to be a part of the system. It needs to be designed in keeping with the business goal in mind, is what you're saying.
So typically, as you said, a lot of empathy has to be there. So there is an organizational goal, which obviously is paramount, but there is an individual goal.
Absolutely.
Right? And where does this person wants to go in life as compared to where the organization is going? And how do you get these two things together is where you win.
Without forcing one into another. Fantastic. That's a great way to put it. And Ankur, you work with so many organizations. How do our two leaders here shared how they are tying in their business objectives with learning? How are other organizations doing it, and what are the best practices?
Sure. So if you really look at, I think Sanjay and Abhay both talk about, how these two ends tie up. And that has been a core in terms of, if you really look at from an employee perspective, that person is continuously looking at growth, and more so today's environment, right? Because they want to get things done much more faster, whether it's Gen Zs and Alpha, whatever. And organizations are going through a transformation, and they are also becoming focused on the growth. So I think the growth in the center becomes a linkage between how these two pieces kind of work together, right? And both of have the aspirations. Now, what you're understanding from a growth to a employee versus an employer are two different things, but how they come together, and that's where I think the skills comes in between, because the people should have the right set of skills to continuously keep on doing stuff now, and that too futuristic, right, from a capability perspective. So there is obviously tons of organizations which we work, or thousands of organizations I should say. We work on a very purposeful learning. We have been in industry for 25 plus years, and it used to happen as L&D, and we have two HR leaders who have been talking about IR to how we have moved to HR, right? So we have seen obviously learning used to happen as, this is a training and development department to a learning department. But today's, the first thing starts with why. Why that learning is required, right? Because every program or any initiative, which is kind of an investment in time and money, has to be linked to that why. And once you really solve that why problem, which can be, a cross-selling kind of thing which you talked about. So it has to be very, very personalized. And it not just personalized to today department or roles, but very individual. Right? And obviously technology helps us doing that, because there is an aspiration of these individuals, and there is an organization who's trying to get certain things done from them. Now, when you merge these two together, there is a very personalized approach or pathway, and that too you have to give options. You can't just give, or a HR saying you have to only do this, or a manager saying do that, which means that there is a set of options, and that is also exploratory, right? Which means that you have been, maybe you are on a path, but the skill set which you have versus you are building on something, but then there are adjacent skills, right, which you kind of build up, because today it's no longer a straightforward, career path. You have different aspirations and you want to do something completely different, because you have like 70% of those skills and 30% can be developed, and that is the organization requires, because that makes it a lot more from the outcome perspective, right? Whether it can be a retention, it can be, obviously revenue growth is the key thing, or reducing the cost has been there. But mobility, talent mobility is a big thing which gets solved today, right? Because people want to, good to hear, Sanjay, that nobody is leaving, but in your organization from but on the other side, not many organizations deal with that, because that becomes a biggest challenge. And it has to be those skills, and especially those skills which you're talking about, the power skills, right? Those are behavioral changer skills. It takes time. And there is a layer of mindset, because if, say, for Abhay's company, which is going through extreme growth, the growth mindset is the key, because everybody, while it is a older organization, everybody has to, feel like an entrepreneur. And that is a mindset game. Now, how will you develop that? And that too very personalized. So I think we deal obviously with thousands of organizations globally, and we are seeing this has becoming the core of growth has become, and the disruption, how to manage the disruption, how you really look at from a future perspective, because as again, I keep on quoting a lot of data, but 50% of the roles which will be there in 2030, we don't know them, right? We know the skills, right? We know the skills, but they are not directly matching, which means that the kind of skills which you are talking about, critical thinking, you know, resilience, empathy, a lot of those has to be developed. And then the roles will help us in terms of telling us what technology you have to use. But just to, again, quote in front of the two HR leaders, you know, humans has to become more human in the age of AI. And that's what Sanjay was talking about, that, you know, HR has always kept that. Now, how you inculcate this into your whole organization?
So I just have thought,
Sure.
right? So the way to look at it is very simple. You have functional skills, you have technical skills, and then what I call transitional skills. So resilience, learning abilities, collaborative mindset, growth mindset, these are skills which you can take anywhere where you are, right? And if you have a high learnability as a skill, you can very quickly pick up anything, right? Knowledge is available now easily. So that is going to be very important when you start building teams now, which is focused on delivering something. These transitional skills are going to be very important. That's one, right? Second very important thing is, as you said, we don't know what is going to come, right? And I can look at 1 year or I can look at 2 years, but I can't look at third year, what is going to happen. So how do I really take all this, but yet prepare for it? And how do I hear the faint noises or blips which are coming from future as to what is going to happen is going to be one of the biggest skills, right? So how the entire HR fraternity now has to start thinking very, very closely with the business as to what are some of the latest skills, latest capabilities, which is going to come, and how do I start working on them today? That's where the wins start coming in.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great note to wrap this discussion on. You know, as all you leaders have mentioned, the skill gap is going to be wider than ever before as we step into the future. But with capable leaders such as yourself, I'm sure it's going to be easy for organizations to bridge that gap and make their workforce future ready. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an extremely insightful and enjoyable discussion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you for watching. Through the course of this discussion, we have found out that learning or AI is not just an HR imperative. It has to be woven into the daily work and make sure that an organization is meeting the employee where they are when it comes to skills. So this entire approach to skills is now skills first, there's a skill set, and it has to be continuous skilling. So thank you so much for those insights, and thank you once again. And for more such interesting discussions, remember to stay tuned to ETStudios.